Consumer spending is spending by households on final goods and services in the economy, and it's a large component of GDP, making up around 60%. And because it makes up such a large part of UK GDP, even a small downturn in consumer spending would have a significant impact on the economy. That's why it's often used by businesses and governments to analyse the health of the economy. And also, without consumer demand and spending, producers and sellers wouldn't really have an incentive to produce goods and services. The recent lockdowns have severely affected household spending, especially on non-essential items, which have fallen by around 20%, as many businesses still remain closed. Goods can either be durable, meaning they are not destroyed when they're used, or non-durable, which means that they are used up at the point of consumption. Examples of durable goods include cars and televisions, and of non-durable goods include food and petrol. And the term that you should be familiar with when looking at consumer spending is called the marginal propensity to consume, which just means that if you had a little extra income, how much of that extra income will be spent on consumption. What factors affect consumer spending? The main one would be the level of disposable income. Those with a higher income would have a lower marginal propensity to consume, and those on lower incomes tend to have a higher MPC. As for those on lower incomes, most of their basic needs remain unsatisfied, so any increase in income would be consumed. On the other hand, those on a higher income are more likely to save. Another factor would be interest rates. If interest rates are falling, which currently they're at one of their lowest levels ever at 0.1%, this reduces the cost of borrowing and debt to a household, which in turn increases household income and consumers' ability to spend. Consumer confidence also has a huge impact on consumer spending. Currently, during COVID and the current lockdown and rising unemployment, there is uncertainty in the market, and consumers are more likely to save rather than spend. And we also have the level of household wealth. When house prices are rising, so does a consumer's personal wealth, and if they were to fall and suddenly the housing market was to crash, the consumer's personal wealth would also fall. Therefore, they are likely to limit spending. We can also link this to other areas of wealth. For example, if the consumer has invested in the stock market, if there was a sudden crash, this would affect their level of consumer spending.